everyone, I'm Georgia and this is The Sound of Georgia. Today I'm going to be having a Mary Poppins movie face-off and we're going to see which one's the best. So, Mary Poppins, the original 1964 one, was never really that special to me, to be perfectly honest. I saw it when I was 8, maybe? I remember I got the DVD for my 9th birthday, but I'd already seen it by then. So I was about 8, which I guess is young-ish, until you remember I saw Sound of Music when I was 2. I like it more every time I watch it, but it never had the sort of special zing that I think it did for a lot of people, and it still doesn't. As for Mary Poppins Returns, I feel like I give it a lot more crap than it deserves. I feel like I bash it more than talk about how much I like it, because I do really like it. If you saw my video about the first time I watched it, you'll know that it was a little hard to watch the first time. It was like I was seeing the original in my mind, even though my eyeballs were watching the sequel, or reboot, or remake, or whatever you want to call it. The second viewing was not that way. Yeah, there were some moments I still felt like I was seeing the original in my mind, but for the most part I was just watching the movie. There really are more things that I like about it than things I don't. And right now, at this point in my life, I actually find myself thinking about it a lot more than the original. And as I said, Mary Poppins was never overly special to me, so as far as Mary Poppins Returns go, I might like it more now than I did like Mary Poppins when I first saw it. So the first time I saw Mary Poppins Returns, I might like it more than I liked Mary Poppins the first time I watched it. So now we're going to have a face-off. I've picked a whole bunch of things and we're going to try and work out which one has the best. Because the stories are so similar, you can do that easily. So the categories I have are Mary Poppins herself, the sidekick, the parents, the kids, the songs, the look, and overall. So starting off with the practically perfect nanny herself, this one goes to Julie. But I expect you saw that coming. Julie Andrews is my favourite person in the world. And Mary Poppins as a character is so full of herself. But with Julie that doesn't really come across at all. Emily sounds very posh as Mary Poppins, and Julie has this warmth that almost renders that null and void. So nothing against Emily, it's not because it's Emily, it's because it's not Julie. So with that, she manages to balance the stern and the kind without it feeling draining or annoying. We know she's a snob and she can be almost kind of robotic in a way at times, and that has to be the hardest part of the role. She won the Oscar for it, and honestly, it wouldn't matter who her competition is. Nobody can outdo Julie. Nobody can out-Julie Julie Andrews. So the point goes to 1964. So moving on to the sidekick, the winner is Jack. Sorry, Bert. Yes, I imagine you also all saw this one coming. Lin-Manuel Miranda is my favourite person ever. So it's the exact same reason. We love Julie's Mary Poppins because we love Julie more than we love Mary Poppins herself. And I think it's the case with Dick Van Dyke and Bert. And yeah, that's the case here. I don't love Jack so much as I love Lynn. I mean, look at that smile. Insert Dear Theodosia lyric here. But personal bias because of my love for this ray of human sunshine aside, Jack's accent is consistent. We all know Dick Van Dyke's accent is bad. That's no secret, it's been said hundreds and hundreds of times. But it changes throughout the movie. Dick has even admitted that himself.
I was trying my best to do a Cockney, and sometimes I notice in the film I almost get it, in other scenes it isn't there at all.
And I don't know if Lynn's accent is good or bad, but it's the same throughout the entire movie. As we continue on, you'll see just how similar these two movies are, and it really is hard to divorce them in a lot of ways. And it's really hard for me to disconnect Lynn and Jack. So yes, I'm biased again, but I'm going with Jack. I'd rather watch Lynn than Dick Van Dyke. Point goes to 2018. So moving on, we have the parental roles. Original, hands down. The acting in Mary Poppins Returns is great, including the kids. And by the kids I mean Jane and Michael. But I just don't buy Michael at all. Given everything that we know about Michael in the original, I can't buy him doing any of the things he does in this film. And yes, the wrinkle is that in this case it's Michael, and we have something else to compare it to, unlike we did with George Banks in the original. And again, they are so similar, but I think Michael's out of character. In the original, Mr. Banks loved his job. It was a huge part of who he was. To Michael, it's really just his job. Michael wants to be an artist, but despite that, despite the whole thing in the original with the tuppence and everything, he's exactly the same as his father, and I can't believe that would happen. So, Jane versus her mother. Emily Mortimer does a great job. Unlike Michael, I can totally buy her as an older Karen Trees. That being said, I think Winifred is a lot more fun.
Though we adore men individually, we agree that as a group they're rather stupid.
Point goes to 1964. For those keeping track at home, it's 1964 to 2018 1. So we've talked about the parents, now it's time to talk about the kids. And yikes, this is hard. I talked about Michael earlier, but truthfully, neither of these groups of kids are particularly complex. Again, I want to say original, and I think I do, but I don't know how much of that is rose-tinted glasses. In a lot of ways, the kids, either group, are kind of blank slates for you to imagine yourself going on these adventures. But if I had to pick one, it goes to the original. So next up, the songs. Oh god, from hard to harder. I honestly don't know at all. I'm going to have to give this one a tie. I was very happy to know that they brought on Dick Sherman to oversee the music for Mary Poppins Returns, even if he didn't write any of the songs. Because both movies have an almost identical story structure, every scene, and consequently every song, in one movie has an analogue in the other. And I will prefer what is essentially the same song in one movie, and then for the next set of songs, I'll prefer the one in the other. For ones like Spoonful of Sugar versus Can You Imagine That? Or Feed the Birds versus The Place Where the Lost Things Go, they're pretty much tied for me. But then you get ones like Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious versus Cover Is Not the Book. And Lynn's brilliant rap aside,
once upon a time in a nursery rhyme there was a castle with a king hiding in a wing.
Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious wins that by a landslide. But then you've got Step in Time versus Triple Little Light Fantastic. Step in Time never did anything for me, either as a song or a scene. It is objectively a great song and a great scene, but it never did and still doesn't do anything for me. On the other hand, its analogue in the 2018 movie, Triple Little Light Fantastic, is hands down my favourite song out of both movies. Despite that though, I'm giving them a tie. So for a check-in, that's 1964 3, 2018 2. The next category is really unfair, and that is the look. These films were made 54 years apart. Being made so far apart means, well, of course they'll look different. Technology changes. Personally, I think the boat for a Mary Poppins sequel kind of sailed in the 70s. But, as you know, I really like Mary Poppins Returns. I really do. And I feel the need to say that over and over again because I've bashed it so many times. And as we've seen, the sequel follows the original so closely. Plenty of times it's been called a love letter to the first movie. And I don't think that is any clearer than in the look. It's so similar, it's almost the same. Despite the fact that Mary Poppins Returns was actually filmed in London, and Mary Poppins was filmed on a soundstage in Hollywood, they're so similar, they're almost the same. Like, sometimes the set from Mary Poppins Returns, you could put that in the original and it would look exactly the same. It would not look out of place or too modern or anything like that. Specifically, I think with Uncle Albert versus Topsy and the beginning of Chim Chim Cherry and Triple Little Light Fantastic. The only real upgrade in the sequel is the 2D animation scene. And because of that, I think it is pretty unfair to try and pick a winner. The hand-drawn animation in Mary Poppins Returns just blows me away. But despite that, I think it's really unfair to compare these two movies aesthetically. So I'm not even going to try and pick a winner. So with one category that nobody wins, the final tally is 1964 3, 2018 2. So finally, I'll just say a bit on the story. As we have established many times, they are so similar. But Mary Poppins Returns has this added thing that the original doesn't. But that's not a good thing. The whole Colin Firth as the evil bank manager who's deliberately trying to steal the house is stupid and unnecessary. So, story-wise, 1964 wins. So it's a 4-2 win for the original. And I think technically the original is overall a better movie. But as far as I'm concerned, that doesn't mean Mary Poppins Returns is bad. It's a love letter to the first film, and it is so similar, but that doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. While there may be more things I like about the original, the things I prefer in Mary Poppins Returns I really prefer. I love them both. I want to mush them together. Can I get a Mary Poppins movie with both Julie and Lynn? Scratch that, can I get any movie with both Julie and Lynn? Because that could quite possibly become my second favourite movie ever. Nothing will ever top Sound of Music, I can guarantee you that. The original is overall, objectively, technically a better movie, I would say. But with Lynn being everywhere in my life in a way that Julie honestly isn't right now, and the original never having the zing I think it did for a lot of people, for me, right now at this particular moment in my life, I could go so far as to say I prefer the sequel. So yeah, original wins. What do you think? Let me know which movie you think wins in the categories I set out. What's your favourite overall? The original Mary Poppins film turns 55 this year, and the anniversary of the premiere is coming up very soon. So there should be a Today in Julie Andrews History video coming up about it soon. And that's all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in my video next week. So long, farewell!